So Viltrox has been making some really awesome glass recently, and we've been testing a lot of it. We're really enjoying it. But I have a new lens here that's right after my heart because this is my favorite focal length. This is the Viltrox 85mm f1.4 Pro series. Now Viltrox might have a lot of different lens series and get a little bit confusing, but luckily you've got me here to explain things. I'm going to do that very thing today. I'm Chris Niccolls, this is PetaPixel, and this is the 85mm Pro. So as you can see, we're back here in Calgary, but we did recently travel to Chile to see the LSST camera at the VRC Rubin Observatory. And I decided I was gonna take this lens with me on that trip because as much as I love Calgary, I wanna give you guys more dynamic photos from a far more dynamic city, Santiago, Chile, beautiful. So let's take a look at some of the shots that I got there. So I really enjoyed this lens, not only for being fairly compact, but having that bright f1.4 aperture, be able to get shallow depth of field, be able to shoot at nighttime as well. It was really cool for that. But as I mentioned before, there are 3 series of lenses from Viltrox right now. We've played with them all, the Air series, this series, the Pro series, and then the Lab series. But it's this Pro series that has some handling characteristics that I really enjoy. So I've already reviewed the 35mm and 135mm Lab series lenses, and that is Viltrox's premier lenses. I mean, that's where they're throwing everything at it. So I've been really impressed with those optically, and they do have some very interesting design features like that LCD panel, and I do kind of dig that, but it's superfluous. I don't really use it very often. And then the aperture ring on the Lab series, I especially do not like. I just don't like the way that they've indexed it. So then when I saw the Pro here, as much as this carries the professional moniker, I'm worried that, okay, maybe I'm giving up something optically. Well, we're going to talk about that, but from a handling standpoint, I actually prefer this more simple design. So here we just have a simple hood that just bayonets right on, 77mm filter thread there at the front of the lens. Fairly standard manual focus ring, and it's quite smooth. I like that. I just get a customizable button, an autofocus manual focus selector switch, and then I've got an aperture ring which is properly indexed to third stop increments. I don't have an LCD panel here, so I don't know what distance I'm focusing at on the lens itself, and that's fine because I have all the information on the back of the camera anyways. But this lens does have the option to set the aperture to a smooth action as opposed to click stops, and it is ruggedly weather sealed. And as 85mm 1.4 lenses go, this is actually fairly compact. Like, it's a fairly slim design. It's only 800 grams, so I'm not finding it overly heavy to carry around. But then are we making sacrifices to the image quality here, considering this isn't their premier Lab series and it's not this huge, big, bulky, oversized lens? Well, let's talk about that next. So I think you can clearly see we've got a really sunny day today, so why don't we talk about flare on this Viltrox 85mm. So it actually handled things really well. I mean, shooting towards bright light sources, I didn't really notice any washed out areas that were problematic. You can see a little bit of ghosting at 1.4, but closing the aperture down, it doesn't really get that much more severe. It certainly wasn't distracting, so I actually really like this for backlit portraits and stuff like that. And speaking of backlit portraits, you know, we often talk about using reflectors and things like that in terms of shooting people as subject matter, but what about when you're presenting? Like, we got a bright sunny day here, but we got a really windy day, as you can see. I got to keep my back to the wind, but now I'm backlit in the shade. So having a reflector like this is the Westcott 30-inch reflector, silver one side, white on the other. This is easy enough for me to carry around. If your camera bag will carry an iPad, it'll fit this reflector no problem. And now it can provide that fill that I need so I'm not in dark shadow. Having a reflector like this is also really handy when you've got mixed cloudy conditions. It can be really frustrating where mid-shoot I'm doing a scene, but the clouds come in front of the sun and they change the quality of the light and they drop the exposure. Or from that next moment, I've got soft light and now I've got harsh direct sunlight. A reflector like this is great to just balance everything out and give you some more consistency. So look, whether you're shooting a subject photographically or you're presenting on camera, if you've got dark backlit shadows right now, and I introduce this and want to fill those in to control that light, a 30-inch reflector from Westcott is a fantastic and affordable way to do it. You can carry them anywhere. You should definitely look at picking these up. Go to fjwestcott.com to explore all your options, or you can click the link in the description below. That's why Westcott is PetaPixel's preferred lighting gear partner. So the Viltrox uses a voice coil motor. It does a really good job of quickly moving the elements. You know, even shooting in low light situations, just all that extra light that I'm gathering with the fast aperture assists the camera to focus properly. It was working seamlessly with my A7R5. And when you consider this against competition, I mean the Sigma Art 85mm 1.4, great lens, but it's getting a bit long in the tooth. That focusing motor had a little bit of trouble moving things quickly. The Sony G Master, I mean, amazing. Those high-speed linear motors do a fantastic job, but honestly, I found the VCM in here to be perfectly adequate. Now, one of the reasons why I really like the 85mm focal length is just that it's a fantastic walk-around length, but it's also ideal for portraits of people, and it's also great when you want shallow depth of field, especially if it's got that fast 1.4 aperture. So what is the bokeh like on this lens? Well, looking at the specula highlights here, a bit of a cat's eye effect. I actually like that you get a bit of a swirly effect with it when shooting at f1.4. And if you stop it down a little bit, that goes away, so you get to have both. The actual highlights themselves are clean, not even a strong soap bubble effect. And this is really important because normally when lenses are more affordable, where they sacrifice is in the bokeh quality. But I was actually really pleased with the quality here. I mean, backgrounds look nice, soft transition, even at maximum shallow depth of field there. And although this is not G Master quality, very few lenses are, this is really good, especially for the price. But another thing I want to test for is LoCA, longitudinal chromatic aberration. That's where you get color fringing in the foreground and background out of focus areas. Really hard to remove in post. And I'm testing for it because lenses that have wide apertures like this are often prone to some LoCA. And as you can see here on our test chart, we are getting some. Now this is not bad, but there's definitely a little bit there present. So if I was shooting something with lots of color and vibrancy, I probably wouldn't notice it. But if I've got text on a page, you know, like you see in our test chart, or if I've got bright metallic reflections against dark edges, things like that, you'll often see this color fringing. And again, it is hard to get rid of in post. It's not a bad result, but there is a little bit there. Now, what if you want to use the Viltrox 85mm for video work? Well, as I mentioned already, you can set the aperture ring to smooth function. That's really nice. You don't get those click-stop sounds. But also, it's really good for breathing control. So breathing is when your field of view changes as you focus from near to infinity. Now, this lens has a little bit of breathing. If you were to focus through the entire range, you can see it here. But if I was going from one act to another, just pulling focus, I'm really not going to notice that field of view change. So this is a really positive result. Ooh, it's windy. All right, let's talk about sharpness now, and hopefully my hair stays in place. So is this lens sharp? Well, looking at our test chart here, shooting wide open at 1.4 right in the center, you can see it's absolutely sharp. Tons of detail, even on this 60 megapixel sensor. Just a slight loss of contrast, but it's minor. And then we stop the lens down, you can see that contrast gets just ever so slightly better, but the detail is already fantastic. What really impressed me though is the corners, because when we look at the corners at f1.4, you can still see excellent detail, and often a portrait style lens like this will sacrifice those to save money and cut corners. Stopping the lens down to f2.8 just makes that a little bit better. We just get a little bit more contrast, a little bit less vignetting, but I was incredibly impressed with how sharp this lens is, and I would happily shoot at 1.4. So I don't often say this, but this new Viltrox 85mm 1.4 Pro might be my new favorite lens. I mean, we're getting beautiful bokeh. It's incredibly sharp. It's not heavy, but it's built to a professional standard, rugged, fast focusing, flare resistant, not too much. I mean, you've heard me go on about this, but it obviously is a very good lens optically. What blows me away is that I can have it for around $600. So about the only thing that I don't like about this Viltrox 85mm 1.4 Pro is that right now it only comes out in E mount, and I hope that changes. I hope we get this for L mount, for RF mount, for Nikon Z mount. That would be awesome because it really is fantastic value for the dollar. So compared to Sony's other offerings, I mean, the 85mm 1.8 is a beautiful lens. It's a decent price, but I'd honestly rather go this way. I mean, I'm gonna pay a similar amount of money and I'm gonna get that extra light. I think this is the way to go. And even compared to the G Master 85mm 1.4 version 2, that is a near perfect lens. I love everything about it, but it is expensive. And this is easily gonna be close in image quality, but at a way better price point. So Viltrox again continues to impress, and it's definitely one to look out for if you're into portraits and you got a Sony E-mount camera. Thanks for watching the episode. We always appreciate it. Leave your comments below. Let us know what you want to say about this lens. Do check out the PetaPixel podcast, all your favorite podcasting apps. You can listen to us in the car while you're washing dishes, you know, anything that you like to do. Listen to us talk and we'll just lull you to sleep. And if you'd rather watch us in person, our actual faces and bodies, you can check our podcast out on this exact same channel. Do also consider getting a PetaPixel.com membership. You get access to our JPEG and RAW files. You can evaluate all the products we review for yourself. You can peruse PetaPixel.com ads free, and you also get big discounts on the merch store. And also big thanks to Westcott for being a sponsor of today's episode. Thanks so much for joining us. I'll see you soon with more of PetaPixel.